So the story is there was a gentleman that was driving down Gulf Boulevard. What happened was the storm surge came.
This is crazy. It's hard to see, but there's a river. It looks like a river that was coming out before. I can show you a video. It's hard to see.
If you go up and down the Sun Coast communities here, all the way down from Siesta Key, all the way north towards Clearwater, all you're going to see is destruction. And then you get away from the barrier islands and everything looks normal. That's because there's been a record-breaking storm surge that has just ruined many of the homes and businesses along the beaches on Florida's Gulf Coast. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you the communities that I was able to go to within my 3 days of being down here and recording footage and talking to some of the locals. While I spent all of my time in the heart of Florida's Sun Coast region, the damage was felt all along the entire Gulf Coast of Florida, not to mention further north in Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, where there was even more destruction. Hurricane Helene traveled north through the central Gulf Coast, missing the Tampa Bay region and making a direct hit with the Big Bend region. The 4 to 8 foot high storm surge that was caused by Helene, however, did not miss the barrier islands in the Sun Coast region. Pretty much every first floor level home and business in the barrier islands that I visited had at least a few inches of water inside during the peak storm surge. Some businesses are built up higher than others, and in that case, just a few feet made a huge difference. You'll be able to learn more about that as I go through some of the interviews on Lido and Siesta Key in particular. So I'm here on Siesta Key the morning of Monday, September 30th, and the first thing that you see when you walk onto the island is just how there's like a layer of sand over everything. When the storm surge occurred on the evening of Thursday, September 26th, it carried not only 5 feet of water, give or take, throughout all of the barrier islands, but it also carried the sand from the beach with it. Many of the homes here at Siesta Key had front yards filled with sand. In some cases, there were 4 to 5 foot sand dunes. The big story out of Siesta Key, however, was how the road collapsed, leaving some residents without road access to their homes. While I was there, I was able to see crews working on fixing the road collapse firsthand. Here's what this exact same stretch of road looked like 9 months prior, according to Google Street View. While checking this out, I was able to chat with a local who lives nearby and walks this stretch of road often. So Mary, you've lived in this area for 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And within this last 5 years, there's been at least 3 major storms that have come through, with Helene's storm surge being the latest. Was this last one the worst storm that you've seen?
This was the worst storm surge. By far, yeah.
Would you say this caused the most damage?
In this area, yes. Yeah.
So you were here for Ian, and you live in a condo a little bit inland, so a little bit far away from the Gulf. But
on the intercoastal.
On the intercoastal. And your condo, you said you could feel the wind coming through the windows?
The wind on the previous one, when Ian, the wind was very strong. And that actually pushed the water right through the windows. So there was water that intruded. This one, no water intruded whatsoever.
But you got some water in your garage?
Yes. We weren't actually here for this one. We drove in the next day. But the building itself had water come up through the sewer. And that was because the water just didn't have anywhere to go. And it came up during the night, kind of almost unexpectedly, and it receded pretty quickly. But now that you walk out on the quay, on Siesta Key and stuff, you can see how it did it. There was no place for the water to go. It was just coming and coming.
And we were just there, and you can just see sand everywhere where the flood water was. and it's going to take a while for that island to recover, wouldn't you say?
Oh, this is the worst I've seen, and yeah, I would say the road has been rebuilt twice since I've been here. This is unbelievable. The road is gone, and that's the tremendous power of in that hurricane didn't come right over us; it came
Right.
by us, and
Right.
the Ian came right over us. So it's interesting to see that it's the surge more than anything that does the damage, at least in this case.
Yeah, and right now police are not letting people onto the island. They're not letting vehicles anyway onto the island because there's just not room for anybody with all of the people there to work on stuff and try to fix things.
Yeah, the truck traffic is not, it's not really safe to go out there. It's not even safe really to work your way up there. I stopped several times and backed off and decided this is too many trucks in too many different directions, and I'm not helping the situation.
You're right. It was hard to walk on there. Do you know anyone personally that has been affected, like their home has been affected by any of the storms that have occurred throughout the last 3 years?
Yeah, we have a dear friend who had a home right off of Sanibel that completely went under, and yeah. So
I myself know a few people on Sanibel.
Yeah.
That are from the Midwest and have like a vacation home there.
Exactly.
Don't live there year round, but.
Exactly. And I would say the little bit of damage that I've seen here seems comparable. I can't even imagine what Siesta's going through right now.
Yeah, Siesta got hit really hard too. What has the experience been like for your friends over in Sanibel? Like, have they been able to easily find somewhere else to live, or what?
They had to get out of there. There was no way to cope with it, and they had illness in the family at the time, so it was a losing to try to cope with all that, so they ended up letting it go.
Mary and I talked a lot more about the destruction off camera. She explained to me how this restaurant is really popular.
You see where the door handle is on that door?
Yeah.
The water came up. You can kind of see it. They started coming up right away.
Oh, you can, to the right of the door, you can see like the mud. Yeah. This is the Casey Key Fish House, and it had about 4 feet of water inside. Mary also explained to me what Midnight Pass is. Midnight Pass is supposed to be a natural pass between Casey Key and Siesta Key, but it's not today because in 1984, Sarasota County filled the pass with sand when the Intracoastal Waterway was formed. Before that, the pass flushed out debris from the Little Sarasota Bay into the Gulf, and as a result, the health of the Little Sarasota Bay has suffered. It was a lot better back then, as the pass helped the bay have much cleaner water. The storm surge from Hurricane Helene actually opened the pass back up for a brief time. By the time that I got to it, 3 days after the surge, the pass started to get filled back up by sand again. That being said, there's an entire community that is relentlessly urging the county to open the pass back up through restoremidnightpass.org, and everyone that I talked to about it in the area was passionate about seeing the pass restored to its natural form. Next, I headed over to Siesta Key, where they did allow vehicles on the island, and when I was here, it was only a couple of days after the floodwaters had totally receded. So I was here at this very spot a year and a half ago, and behind me is what's supposed to be a path to the beach, not a creek. A very gross-looking creek at that. Compared to Casey Key, Siesta Key is a lot larger, more populated, and more popular, so therefore, it saw a lot more damage. While I was here, I was able to talk to a few of the business owners. Meet Diane, who owns the Made in Rome ice cream shop.
And yes, it was a disaster. It was very high. Luckily for me that I'm a bit high in my shop, so the water came in, but I did seal the door and seal the back door. But we had about a few inches of water high. But everybody else next to me, restaurants, was up to like 6 feet of water. It was a disaster.
So you were one of the more fortunate ones.
Because I'm a bit higher. The only thing is we had no lights, no electricity. So all my products, all my gelato, throw everything away. And it took us 3 days to get, I did have water, maybe like 2-3 inches of water, but it took us 3-4 days to wash it all and to disinfect it, because of the mold and everything, the smell. The Siesta Key is a disaster.
Yeah, how long did it take for electricity to come back?
It took almost 4 days, and I still don't have internet, and I cannot open my business because without internet, my cash register also isn't going or anything.
Were you one of the ones who evacuated?
Yes, we did evacuate. We closed down. We sealed everything off. We evacuated, and it was bad because the village was like a giant swimming pool. Everything was floating. Everything, you could have just gone out and swam. It was a disaster. Never seen anything like it in all these years.
How long did it take for the flood water to recede?
It took a few days, a day and a half, I would think.
Yeah, from this main street.
Yes, because we weren't allowed to get on the island, which is obvious.
If you go down, you look down some of the side streets.
It's still bad, yeah. It's still bad, yeah.
All right, well, you take it easy, and I wish best of luck.
I appreciate it. We need it. We need it. I feel more sorry, not for us, for our business, or that we lost all these restaurants and businesses, but I feel sorry for the people who lost their homes and they also died.
Oh, yes.
That is very bad.
Are you one of the ones who lives on the island?
No, I used to. I'm glad I don't live on the island now. Not I would have lost everything. I have friends that live on the island, and they've lost 5 cars. They lost everything, all their furniture, their food, everything. And they still don't have lights. It's like 6 days now. Thank you.
We're currently just south of the little downtown area on Siesta Key where Diane's shop is located. I don't have any photos or videos of my own, but if you want to do a search, there's plenty of drone videos and photos showing all of Siesta Key's streets underneath at least a foot of water, well after the peak storm surge as well. That's why you see so much sand everywhere. And I just got here at a time after residents and businesses were allowed back on the island, so people for the day leading up to this one were able to start clearing out their homes of flood debris, flood-damaged drywall, and other personal items. It's really sad to see, but unless a house or a business was raised somewhat, every single building on Siesta Key had about 4 feet of water inside, and you can forget about any car that was parked on the island. Yeah, those are now clunkers. Well, Diane had a shop that was raised on some steps, so her place was an exception, and as you heard her say, she only had about 2 inches of water or so in her shop. That was still enough to ruin some things, but there's a venue on the opposite side of the street from Diane called the Beach Club that is built on the street level, and I was able to speak with Matt, who's a manager at the Beach Club, about his experience.
Yeah, so I live a few miles off the key. I think by Wednesday night we were pretty much done boarding up and all that good stuff. So yeah, as far as evacuation, we were all good.
And when you saw this place for the first time, what did you think?
I had a pretty good idea of what we were going to walk into. We had cameras still rolling until about 8 p.m. So we could see the devastation. I mean, we have a lot of regulars that we're close with. My wife also works here. So she was in contact with them. They didn't evacuate. So I knew what we were walking into. We actually tried to come onto the key about 10 p.m., got denied. Tried to come back about 5 a.m., got denied. And I think we got back on Friday at maybe 10:30 a.m. finally. So walking in, I had a pretty good idea, but obviously you're never really ready. I've been here 6 years. You've never seen anything like this. So.
Well, I've talked to people and I've seen articles of, other media outlets interviewing people who have lived here for like 20, 30 years and they haven't seen anything like this.
Yeah. From what I'm hearing, it's been like more than 50 years than anything like this has ever hit here. I know I've been here, like I said, 6 years, and I've never seen any water come in the front door. And our front sliding glass door, there's like 4 foot of water running like by 8 p.m. So
right now you're working on cleaning up some stuff, and you said you were salvaging whatever you can. Have you been able to at least save a good amount of stuff, or is a lot of stuff just ruined?
Yeah, for us personally, I think we've got pretty lucky. We're a sister business with a lot of these places across the street that have kitchens, who have a lot of appliances that were ruined. For us,
they're really expensive.
For us, we have concrete floors, we have coolers and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy. I think we're going to get out a lot better than a lot of these places. But yeah, I mean, I've helped a couple of the locals, like I said, regulars, tear stuff out of their houses the last couple of days over at the hub. I mean, they have tons of damage, so it's pretty crazy to see.
Now, did the entire island get hit, even the further eastern parts of the island?
Yeah, so the problem is all the canals are also running throughout the whole key. So really, I mean, he got hit from both sides. I feel like there wasn't really a safe place. I mean, some of these higher up businesses like MVP, even the Summer House, are a little more lucky because they just sit higher. But if you're on the ground floor anywhere on the key, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah, definitely. And so you've been here for 6 years. So you saw Hurricane Ian come through, and was there flooding on this island with Hurricane Ian?
Yeah, so flooding, I mean, we get a lot of flooding, even like hard rain. If it rains hard for a solid day here, we flood, but it's nothing like this. And that's the thing I was telling everybody, like I live probably 5 miles off the key and our power flickered once. You know, it was not, the hurricane really didn't affect us, and it wasn't so much the rain and the wind, it was the surge that did all the damage.
Right, and it just came and went.
Right.
And but some of the flooding here remained for a couple days, but yeah, for the most part came and went. Do you guys have electricity in the building right now?
We have power and we have water, so.
Do you have internet?
We have internet.
Okay, because I've talked with some businesses over there, they didn't have any internet still.
Yeah, I think it's pretty spotty. I know the next day when we were out here, we're talking to the power people, and I think just the way the infrastructure set up, we were going to be one of the first ones to get it back, just by the way it lays out, you know.
Gotcha. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just, you know, like I said, I think just having a bunch of regulars here that, you know, we serve every day that come out here, you know, just my heart goes out to them. You know, we've been trying to get out and help, but, you know, you take for granted a lot of stuff, but, you know, when you see people losing their homes, their vehicles, everything all at once, it's pretty sad, man.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So those were the sights and scenes from what I saw at Siesta Key, one of the more popular beach spots in the Sarasota area. Of course, there was the show called Siesta Key that was featured on MTV. The show premiered in 2017 with the most recent season in 2023. Most TV insiders don't think that there's going to be another season, even though the show is not yet officially canceled. And one last shot here. This is the very south end of Siesta Key, and those are a bunch of apartments, condos, vacation rentals, whatever they are. They're just south of Turtle Beach, and you can see the whole area right there is just covered in beach sand. Next, we go to Lido Key, which is the next barrier island to the north. On the other side of the street from where I'm standing is a hotel called the Sandcastle Inn. This is on the very far south side of Lido Key. Unfortunately, I'm told that this hotel will be demoed and replaced with a newer building as the damage is too much to handle for this 1950s structure. I was also told that the island's residents brought their cars to the second floor of the parking garage here so that they could be safe from the surge. So I just went up and down a lot of the streets here in Lido Key, and a lot of the storefronts, you know, stores that sell clothes, clothing stores, a lot of them just have everything scattered out on the floor. It looks like a mess. It's really sad. A lot of these buildings here, you can see the water line. You can see it here in the glass. The water line, this might be the tallest water line that I've seen right here. But all the chairs are stacked up against the window here. And it's really sad looking because it seems like a lot of these businesses lost just about everything. I mean, pretty much this entire shopping area of St. Armand's, which is a very popular area around here to just spend a night out. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of shopping. It's very walkable. You can just walk. You can park your car anywhere here and just walk around and enjoy a long day out here. But all these businesses, man, look at this. All the streets are just lined with stuff that are inside. You know, a lot of tables right here that were inside this restaurant that are, you know, this restaurant right here. And you have all these chairs stacked up outside. This is the scene in Lido Key right now. When I was here, it was pretty late in the evening and most people had already packed up and had headed home for the day, but I was able to talk to Smooth at Arcade Monsters. How high was the water inside of your shop?
It was about waist level, so just about where you see right here.
Oh, yeah. You can see
Yeah.
that.
Right there.
And you can see it right here as well. Right.
Never power washed the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
So about close to waist high, pretty much.
And all of your stuff is based on electronics, obviously.
Yep. There's our electronics out drying.
Grab table.
We are opening everything up and trying to save what we can, but it's looking pretty gruesome out here. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry this happened to you guys. I'm sure that insurance can help you guys out in replacing some of this stuff.
We would hope so. Insurance obviously takes a little while to get back. And there's obviously a couple of details to go through, but we're kind of just all hands on deck, saving what we can now, because, we can't wait.
Right.
But yeah, we're hoping. We have it upstairs, so thankfully at least half of our games are saved, but whatever couldn't fit in the elevator or was too heavy to get upstairs is downstairs, which is some of our big hitters.
So you guys prepped beforehand and lifted everything up that you could?
Well, no, we tried. Well, like most of the time when we set up the arcade, we just put anything that is heavier on the bottom floor, which are usually the most valuable games. So the preparation, we sandbagged it up. We covered what games we could, but we weren't really prepared for a storm surge up to like waist level in water. So yeah.
You guys are how far away from water? About 4 blocks?
Yeah, 4 blocks. Yeah, 4 to 4.5 or so. Yeah, pretty close. Not far enough. Not far further than we were hoping, for sure.
When were you guys allowed back on the island to see the damage for yourself?
Actually, I think it was the day after, midday. We were able to make it. We had a friend of the arcade that were able to show us some of the damages before we came out ourselves. And then we had pretty much had all hands on deck the day after.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction when you saw it?
Heartbreaking, honestly. We put a lot of hard work and effort into making sure we bring, the best of the community. We do the best that we can to keep everything up and running. So it is really sad to me personally too, because like I've had a lot of hands-on work with a lot of these games. So it's sad to see a lot of our hard work and effort kind of go to waste. Mother Nature does its thing.
So
it's tough. Yeah, my initial reaction is heartbreaking. Really, it's sad.
Have you driven around the rest of Lido Key, or have you been to any of the other islands at all?
Not really. We've kind of gone in and out across the bridge. Just because we're dealing with so much here, we haven't had too much time to explore. Obviously, we want to extend our our gratitude and our sadness to the companies around us, because nobody deserves to have their business shut down or to have to put so many hours or allocate so much manpower to repairing. But this is nature. This is what we do.
Have you lived in this area your entire life?
No, I'm actually from Orlando. Yeah, so we have 6 locations right now. This is the one closest to the beach, and I'm from the home base in Orlando. So I'm out here basically just to help where I can for this location, get whatever we can back up and running.
And last question, where does this rank, what you have seen here, where does it rank on the storms that you've seen throughout your life?
Okay. So as far as storms and living in it, I would say this is probably an 8 out of 10. But when in regards to where I've worked, how much I've invested my time into, this is probably 11 out of 10. This is again heartbreaking. This is our most valuable games. What people look forward to coming to Arcade Monsters to play, and what usually gets people excited about coming to the arcade is pretty much what you see right here. So.
Well, it's rare these days. You don't see them around much anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of them are imported. We do a lot of work. Some of them are 6 months out when it comes to shipping after purchasing. So that's one of the sad things is these aren't easily replaceable. So even if we wanted to buy it tomorrow, it wouldn't be able to get here for a long duration of time, So.
Anything else you'd like to say about your business or?
No, just if you have already, or if you haven't already, check us out, Arcade Monsters, on any socials. We do have multiple locations, so hopefully we're able to kind of use this and push it to our other locations, or potentially open it back up here. We're hoping for the best, but worst case scenario, we'll find something near, or we'll be able to have a better experience at one of our other locations because it'll be safer. Fortunately, but unfortunately. But check us out. We're still gonna have good things coming. Bad things happen. Mother Nature is Mother Nature, but we will do our best to do what we can to bring what we can to the community.
Believe it or not, there's still quite a bit to see in this video. Before we head over to Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key sits between Lido and Anna Maria. The south end of Longboat Key seemed to be hit a little bit less harsh than the north end was. On the south end, when I was there was a giant pile of sand on the golf course, while the north end seemed to have just had the floodwaters recede right before I was able to access the island. Access to Anna Maria Island from Longboat Key, however, was blocked off. And that was for good reason, because on the southern portion of Anna Maria Island is the city of Bradenton Beach, and I can say that Bradenton Beach was definitely the worst hit from the storm surge from Helene out of all of the ones that I was able to get close enough to while I was in the area. Bradenton Beach was one of the only few where they were still heavily restricting access. I was able to talk to a photographer off camera who gained access to Bradenton Beach, and he described the piles of sand as Buffalo, New York snow. Otherwise, the main road was still a little bit flooded just north of Bradenton Beach when I was there, and that's all that I was able to see. Now we're going to talk to Morgan, who owns a coffee shop over by the Anna Maria City Pier. Her shop was one of the few that were open across the entire island just days after the storm surge. Were you guys around when the storm surge happened, or did you guys evacuate the island?
I did evacuate. I was just off the island, so just in Perico is where I was at.
Do you live on the island?
I'm doing something. You guys need to go inside. I actually moved off a month ago. So it was
good timing.
Yeah, I actually moved off a month ago, so I'm lucky, but I'm just right in Perico, so I'm not far off.
But you probably know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like you have probably a lot of relationships with people who live on the island.
Yes.
Do you know how high the storm surge was through your shop?
So through my shop was about 16 to 17 inches, which is amazing because the bay is right there. So I think just being elevated a little bit helped. But I have friends that are further down, like literally in the same position as we are from the bay, and their houses are really bad.
Were they just lower to the ground?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, there's a little step right here.
Little bit.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does.
Because over on Lido Key, that's really low-lying ground in the whole St. Armand's area. There's you can see a ring of where the flood was 4 feet up.
Yes.
It's a line on all the buildings.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're right next to several shops here, and they're all closed and moving stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them have wood flooring or they had carpet flooring. Luckily, we had tile flooring, so that helped. We still have to look at it as far as the water damage and stuff like that goes. But yeah, and the good thing about being a smaller place is we don't have as much to do, but we still had a lot to do. So, right. Yeah.
And you were mentioning how you're going to have someone look at the walls.
Yes, structurally, they'll have to double check it for moisture.
And you were mentioning your appliances are gone?
Yeah, so we lost 4 refrigerators. Our coffee machine, which is a very nice, it's an Italian handmade coffee machine, it's in rough shape right now, we'll say.
Is it salvageable?
I think so.
Maybe.
I hope so. So yeah, so we can't do that. We're just doing other basics like cold brew, drip coffee, that kind of thing. But even as we get into it, I'm seeing that the machines some of them may not be working the way we want them to. So yeah, we're probably going to have to kind of redo a lot of things in there as far as our equipment goes, unfortunately.
Have you lived here your whole life?
Yes, I grew up in Bradenton, and then I've lived on the island since 2015.
So about 10 years.
Yes.
And have you ever seen a storm cause this much damage to this area?
No. I don't know what it is. Even just the past, maybe 3 or 4 months, the flooding has gotten pretty bad. And I was noticing that the other day, and I was telling some of my friends, I'm like, man, this seems kind of crazy. So, we're used to hurricanes in Florida, and most people don't take them very seriously. And so I don't think anybody expected it to be as bad as it was because we weren't getting directly hit by it. But the flooding just killed everybody. I mean, it's not like you're not going to see houses, on the ground here for the most part. Bradenton Beach got it way worse than us.
Closed down there.
They're still closed, and it's going to take them a while to rebuild that. And some people even saw cottages floating by and things like that. But the damage really is from the water.
There's a couple boats on the road to get here from Bradenton.
Yes.
On the causeway, there's a couple boats like laying off on the side.
Yeah.
And then when you enter the island, there's a sign saying free food and free water for the people who have been really affected by this.
Right.
So when did you get electricity back?
We got back. Let's see. What is today? I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Hey, I don't blame you.
It's Tuesday.
Yes.
We got it back on Sunday.
Okay.
So it actually didn't take this long. You know, it didn't take that long, which it was pretty good, because my house, when, let's see, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, it took me over a week to get it back. So I think they've gotten a little more efficient as far as the power goes.
That's good.
But yeah, they've been out here. They've sent huge crews out here, so they got out here pretty quick.
It seems hit and miss with who I've talked to on the other islands, with who has power, who has internet, who doesn't.
Right.
Have you guys had consistent internet?
I don't have internet here because my boxes got wet, so I don't actually know if there's internet. I think there is. I think there is. I think it got restored pretty quick. I just don't have it because I need new boxes, and they can't get out here yet. Yeah. They have a lot of tickets and to come check out people's places, but they can't get out here.
Last question. You mentioned some people that you know personally who saw some really bad damage to their home.
Yes.
That they live. Do you know any other business owners who might not even be able to reopen their business? There's been a lot of that.
In Bradenton Beach.
Bradenton Beach.
Yeah, there's. I don't know what their plans are for reopening, but a lot of the ones that were directly across from the water got annihilated. And Beach Bistro, annihilated inside. It's still standing, but it's just, there's nothing in there anymore. Completely.
Structurally damaged, probably.
Yeah, structurally damaged. And then Bradenton Beach, there are a lot of businesses in Bridge Street and stuff that were pretty annihilated. So,
is there anything else you'd like to add about your experiences with this?
We're strong, we'll rebuild, you know, and there's a lot of people just even further north that got it really, really bad. And
Madeira
I don't think
Beach.
anybody was, but I mean, even like North Carolina, up there, my friend up there said, we have had nothing for days, and I felt so bad for them too. And it's like nobody prepared for this level of damage. You know, I mean, so maybe somebody did, but I don't think anybody was prepared for it, you know.
I think it's safe to assume that Florida was more prepared for that than North Carolina was.
Yes, for sure.
30 inches of rain.
Yeah, rivers running through their houses and stuff. So luckily here, the water came in and it receded pretty quickly. So, yeah.
Cool Beans is located right across the street from the city pier. Something to point out is how the city pier suffered very minimal damage, but not even a mile to the northwest is the Rod and Reel Pier that was unfortunately ripped to shreds. Well, next I talked with Danny, who is the assistant manager at City Pier Grill and Bait. This pier looks to be structurally sound. Looks like it didn't really get any damage from the surge. Is that correct?
Very minimal damage.
Very minimal damage.
Yeah.
Did the surge get up over the pier?
Yes, about a foot over the pier.
A foot over the pier.
Took in about a foot in the kitchen. Lost a few freezers.
I just spoke with someone across the street over there. She owns a small shop. She said she lost 4 refrigerators.
Yep.
Said that the water is up 16 to 17 inches in her shop.
Wow, yeah.
And here it's about a foot.
Yeah, yep, about a foot.
Was that all you guys lost? Just a couple refrigerators?
A couple of freezers. We lost all our food, you know, so we got to pretty much start new. So,
yeah.
Could have been worse.
Well, you guys are open right now. You're one of the few that are open around here. So
Yep.
you got that going for you. And beautiful scene here on the pier. I'm sure you guys are getting people coming by just to get something to drink.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're offering a 20% discount to anybody who comes out.
So, you've obviously driven through Anna Maria. What are your thoughts?
Crazy, man. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never seen a storm do so much devastation out here.
I'm getting a lot of people telling me that.
Yeah, it's the first, man.
And you guys have seen Hurricane Ian earlier this year. You saw Hurricane Debbie.
Yeah.
You saw Hurricane I'm missing the name of last year. But it's the storm surge that cause the most damage.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You go up and down these streets, and people just have furniture laying outside of their homes.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So, when were you guys allowed back on the island?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday morning, yep.
And did you guys have electricity when you first came back?
No.
How long did that take?
For about 2 hours, we were in the kitchen clearing everything out, and then all of a sudden it popped back on, and we were screaming and yelling for joy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And when it comes to, like, internet connection, do you guys have that?
Yes.
Okay.
We have it now, yep.
Because those two have been, like, the biggest problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And is plumbing all taken care of and everything?
Plumbing's all, yeah, we're good out here. We got water, got gas. We're looking good out here, thank God.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to see any of the other islands?
No,
No.
I have not. Been focusing on this one for sure.
Yeah. Sounds like Bradenton Beach got hit really bad.
Yeah.
And then Lido Key and Casey Key down there. But they all kind of look the same, like a lot of the homes and businesses that you see here in Anna Maria with just furniture lined up outside. And,
Yeah, it's sad to see.
do you know any business owners that are contemplating closing?
No, I do
Based on
not.
the
No,
damage?
no.
How long do you think it'll take for things to get better around here to just fully recover?
Be back to normal?
Yeah.
That's hard to say. I'd give it months.
Months.
Honestly, months, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be what most people think because the damage here is so bad. Because it's not, you don't really see it to the exterior of the buildings, but what it did was it wiped out everything on the inside and structural damage to a lot of these buildings too.
Absolutely, yeah. Drywall,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
And do you live on the island or do you live inland?
I live inland.
Inland?
Inland, yeah.
How is your home affected inland?
My home's actually fine. We're where I live is 33 feet above sea level, so we actually didn't get any water in the house, and lucky on that.
Do you have any friends or family that live on the island?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of friends that live in Cortez Village, and they got wiped out.
Did they evacuate?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
For sure.
Not good that it happened to their home. So.
Yeah. No.
Do you recall their reactions when they first saw their place when they came back?
Oh yeah, they're devastated.
Yeah. Did you by any chance have surveillance that you could watch at this place just to like?
No, I don't. We don't have action to the cameras. No.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add about?
No, that's about it. Glad we're back up and business is running, and we're one of the lucky ones for sure.
Definitely.
Lastly, I was able to speak with Shannon, who's an employee at the Chateau here on Anna Maria Island.
And what is it that you're doing out here today?
So basically, I'm just waving to let people know that we are open. We have a small lunch menu that we put together affordable for everybody who needs it. I know that it's kind of wrecked our island a little bit, so there's really little to nothing open right now. So just wanted to let people know that we have AC, food, beer, water, whatever they need, to just take a break if they're cleaning.
Very few places open right now. You're right about that. How long was it until you were able to get back onto the island? The storm happened on Thursday at around 6 p.m. is when the water really started to rise. When were you able to come back to the island?
I would say maybe Monday or Tuesday, I think, is when they started letting people back. My first day back, I think, was a couple days ago. So we kind of rushed to get open so that we could at least just be available for people.
Was your building flooded?
We were lucky because our building is raised, and since we're with a corporate hotel, we were able to have barriers up, but we still got a few inches of flooding and rain, but I know it's nothing compared to what this community has seen. It's really been rough for them.
Did your restaurant have any losses, any equipment that you just had to throw away?
We did have a few things we had to toss out, but luckily God was good and He allowed us to be safe and be open and available for people. So that was great.
Have you guys had any problems with internet or plumbing or any kind of utility?
It definitely was quite a few days before we even had electricity. Before we were able to get the air conditioning on, so we were able to get as much out here to start going once it was on. I think it was yesterday or the day before when we finally were able to really get everything going.
Are you from this area?
I am. Yeah, I've lived out here the past, I think, 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, so it's been nice.
Is this the worst storm damage that you've seen?
In the past few storms, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the island like this in years. This is like devastating. So this is new. I mean, obviously we get hurricanes, you know how it is, and, you know, we prevail, but this, for the first time in a long time, is one that I don't think we were really prepared for this much damage. So we're working together as a community to hold it together for everybody.
Well, a lot of people were surprised because the hurricane wasn't forecasted to come through here, so it was kind of easy for a lot of people to just kind of dismiss it and not take it, you know, as seriously as authorities were telling people to, because it was forecasted that there was going to be a large storm surge through here, but I don't think people really understood, or at least some people who decided to stick it out didn't really understand what was coming with the storm surge, since it was so far off the coast.
Yeah, I believe every year, every year we're told that we're going to have some sort of storm surge, and I mean, I guess we do, but it's never, it always ends up dying down, or it always ends up passing us, so we don't really have to, it's never actually like, oh, okay, this is real, you know, so it's been kind of a loss for everybody, so we're just trying to be there for people.
Yeah, you go up and down some of the streets. This street right here, you can see businesses like the one right across the street here just has furniture and all kinds of things that were damaged from water just sitting outside. What were your thoughts when you first saw this for the first time after the storm?
Honestly, for me personally, I took it very emotionally and personal. When I was younger, my family went through Hurricane Katrina as a child, and so I know directly what it's like to be in this state of your life and lose everything and have to start over. And yes, things can be replaced, but it's the emotional imprint, it's the memories that are lost. It's, you know, for me, I lost all of my childhood videos and memories growing up, and who knows if that is the same situation for people. So just, you know, all the hard work people put into their homes and into their businesses and, you know, things like that, losing that stuff it's hard to recover. It's hard to get back up, you know, on your feet. But, you know, praise Jesus, he's here for us and he will help us prevail. So that's what we're leaning on. Good muscle and good faith.
Yeah, you Floridians are a resilient bunch, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Storm after storm. Do you know anybody personally that lives on Anna Maria Island?
I do. So I actually attend Bayside Community Church, and a lot of our staff members, a lot of our community that attends that church live on the island. And I know we've been trying to send out like so many different groups of people to help those people with their homes. And so we've really been trying to tackle it one by one and get everyone as helped out as much as possible.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add about the storm or about anything in general regarding the surge that has hit this island?
I know a lot of people got a few feet, and we just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, from the Chateau Anna Maria, Bayside community, all these people that, you know, we're really sorry and we're here for you and we feel for you. And, you know, if this is what we can do to be open and be available for you with food, water, AC, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get our hands dirty. We're going to get in there, help you guys out with your homes. So whatever you guys need, just don't hesitate to reach out to people because our community is here to help you.
Next, I headed up to Madeira Beach, which is the only place that I visited that still had no electricity or running water 6 days after the storm surge. That day, the Madeira Beach Winn-Dixie was doing what they could to help out those who lived in the area and were impacted by the storm.
Yes, Chris, today we are providing water, ice, dry goods, dry food, also cleaning supplies that are desperately needed. You know, we've been serving Madeira Beach for decades, and we're part of this community, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part to help this community recover, and we know that we can be stronger together. So we're proud to be out here doing our part to help this community recover.
Now, talking about the storm, is this the worst storm damage that you've seen hit this area?
Yes, in this area, absolutely. It's the worst that I've seen in this area, for sure.
It's unfortunate. And so how about the store? What's the condition of the store? Did the store get hit with the surge?
It did get hit with the surge. We are very, very fortunate that the store did not flood. So really a miracle that it did not flood. However, we did get some damage throughout the store with ceiling tiles, things such as that we're still assessing and working on, getting the store ready to open.
Do you know how high the surge was that hit Madeira Beach?
I don't know exactly how high it was for the entire area, but obviously a lot of folks lost their homes, and the pictures we saw from behind the store, the water was 3 or 4 foot high. I'm sure it was much higher in other places.
Right, it varied from here to there. Have you been able to see any of the other islands in the area and the damage that has occurred there?
Yeah, well, I've been to Crystal River. I've been to Perry. That was, impact. That's where the eye went into Perry. I've seen a lot of devastation along the Gulf Coast where we operate. As far as where we have a store, a Winn-Dixie, this is the hardest hit area.
Do you have this set up at any of the other Winn-Dixies throughout the Sun Coast?
Currently, today, this is the only event that we have today, but we are considering others.
What other locations are you considering?
Perhaps the Big Bend area.
Big Bend area. Oh,
South Georgia, maybe South Georgia as well. South Georgia and West Georgia was really impacted pretty significantly.
Oh yeah,
a lot of power outages.
It wasn't just like a strip of the coastal area like here. It was like a widespread area because they got the hurricane, they got all the rain, they got all the wind. So yeah, there's been so many places that have been affected from this storm. It's really unfortunate to see.
Yes, and like we've seen on the news, the devastation north of Florida has been pretty significant. We operate in South Georgia. We have a lot of stores there and communities that were very heavily impacted.
So unfortunate. Well, is there anything else you would like to add about what you guys are doing here or just the storm in general?
Well, our foundation, SEG Gives, we are always responsive to the needs of our community, especially in tragic times such as natural disasters. And this is nothing new for us. We do this every year as we have storms that impact our communities. We are happy to step up and be able to provide some assistance to our neighbors in need to help them in their recovery efforts.
Here in Madeira Beach, I was able to get a full tour of the Church by the Sea, aka the Chicken Church. The church had a definitive 4-foot watermark inside and out. The carpet had already been ripped out of the sanctuary, and when I was there, they were in the process of sorting out what they could salvage and what needed to be thrown away. Meet Charlene, the lead pastor's wife.
Is this the worst storm damage that you've ever seen?
100% in the history of forever. We've never had a storm surge like this here. I'm a native Floridian. We've lived here 27 years and never, in this area, 27 years, but I'm born and raised in Florida. We've never had storm surge like this, and everybody is saying that. Just shocked at the devastation that the storm surge brought. And this is the second deadliest storm to hit U.S. soil in the last 50 years, Katrina being number one.
And you were talking about how since the hurricane was not forecasted to hit the Sun Coast, there were a lot of people who didn't think that it was going to be what it was, the storm surge.
Yeah,
so
correct.
There's a lot of people who didn't evacuate.
Correct. Even though we had the warnings and were told to evacuate, the storm was 120 miles offshore from where we are. And it was supposed to hit at low tide, which is in our favor. And so many people really didn't heed the warning to evacuate, sadly. And many risked their lives, many lost their lives. We've had 11 deaths here on this beach, found another body sadly yesterday. And so they're continuing to do search and recovery.
When were you were not on the island when it happened, but you were on the island before. You were preparing stuff for this church, right?
So my husband and I came Thursday afternoon around 5 o'clock. We just wanted to do one more walk around the church to pray and just to make sure everything's secure. We put up our storm barriers on Wednesday. Everything was in place. We did everything that, we were able to do humanly possible. And then we parked here in the church parking lot and walked across the street to the beach just to take a look at the waves. And even then, the ocean was so angry and the waves were so high and the water was already so close. And that was at low tide. And so we went back home and just waited out the storm. And we were not allowed back on this barrier island until Saturday afternoon. And when we came back Saturday, it was devastating to see the damage all along the Gulf beaches. And when we opened up the doors and saw the church and the cushions of the pew cushions floating, it just grabs your heart. It takes your breath away. And we could just picture the people, like who sits where, and you just see their beautiful faces everywhere, and you're worried about them and hoping that they weathered it okay and in a safe way. And I was just paralyzed at the beauty of the stained glass windows, and especially our Jesus stained glass window. None of our historic stained glass windows were broken. They were all protected. Our Jesus statue here in the garden was unharmed. Our cross on the wall outside was unharmed. And, it just reminds me, I think of, Christ is our firm foundation. Storms of life are going to come. It's guaranteed. And the storms look different for all of us. But Christ is our firm foundation, and we're safe with him. And so we have been saying, and we truly believe that God's word is true and it's trusted and God is faithful. And we know that we're going to see the goodness of God in this. We're already hearing stories. This rescue story right here, this changed this man's life. It changed 2 men's life. And they know that the Lord is calling them back home to him. And, we praise God for that. But we're going to hear many more stories of life change. And, it says in scripture that, when the storm waters come, that will not drown. And when the fires come, will not be burned. And we can have peace in the middle of our storm when we are anchored in Christ.
And you guys still don't have electricity here. Is that the case for the whole Madeira Beach community? No electricity anywhere, do you know? Or
Correct. There's no power. There's no water. They're still doing recovery work and clean out work. They're clearing out the roads, removing the toxic sand, contaminated sand. And I'm not sure when they'll start turning on power, but when they do, the Sheriff Gualtieri was actually here yesterday saying that when they begin turning on power, they're going to have the firemen stand by because they expect fires, because salt water and electricity don't mix well.
Right. And the storm, it happened on Thursday, September 26th. Right now it's October 2nd, which is the next Wednesday, so it's 6 days after the storm.
Tomorrow will be 1 week.
No water, no electricity. This community in particular, Madeira Beach, got hit really bad. A lot of the other communities, they have electricity now, but not Madeira Beach.
Up and down our island here, Treasure Island, Reddington, there's no power. And they're working towards that, but there's many steps to take before they turn on the power. So we're closed here at church indefinitely, but we're meeting off campus this Saturday. And so we're going to be a mobile church, and we're still a family. And we're just going to learn how to do church a little bit differently while we do our remediation and restoration work. So
I'm sure you guys as a church, with you being the wife of the pastor, that you guys are helping people as much as you can, the members of your church and the community in general. Are there things that you've done so far to this point that you've been able to help the community? We've
tried to visit some people, pray with them, bring food. We've done a lot of laundry. I've spent hours at laundromats washing clothes. I've done them at my home just to help people have clean clothes to wear, help them salvage some things. And, you know, so many people are displaced. Some people don't have their phones, and people don't have cars because their cars flooded out. And so we're thank the Lord for social media, because we're trying to make contact with different people. But we have a webpage set up exclusively for our church families to post their needs that they have. And so we're trying to step in and meet those needs. But we've been cleaning out houses, providing bags, you know, things like that. That right now, the phase we're in is everybody is just going through their stuff, trying to pick through their home and what they can save and what they know they have to discard. And so it's very hard. It's very, very emotional, because it's not just stuff. It's memories. It's their life story. It's their babies' pictures. It's their family heirlooms and mementos and things that were gifted to them. And so it's just really, really emotional to just see your stuff in a big pile, and there it sits.
All right, so you were talking about the historic church building that you have here, and the architecture to it and why it's so special. Talk about the building.
So it's a Spanish style building, but when this church was built, it was actually built by the founding members, and the founding pastor built our lights that are hanging. He built our altar that we have. He was a craftsman. It was amazing, amazing talent. But this church was formed to reach the fishermen in our community. Madeira Beach is a fisherman community. That's what we're known for. And so we continue 80 years later ministering to our fishermen in our area. We love them. And our steeple was at one point the highest point on the whole Gulf beaches here, if you can imagine that. And it's not that tall, but it was the tallest point here along the Gulf beaches. But the story was that when these new fishermen would leave from John's Pass, they would say to them, look for the house of God and you'll find your way home. And that's how they would find their way home when they were coming back from sea. And so that's still so special. And so I think that God is still calling us to look for him, and we'll find our way home.
Someone who found their way home on the evening of the storm was Robert Croft. Croft was helping one of his friends who lived on the island prepare for the storm surge, but he wasn't able to make it off in time. Initially, Robert wasn't sure about being in the video, understandably so, since the storm has taken such an emotional toll on him. With a change of mind, Robert gave me this footage that he recorded while being trapped in his truck on Gulf Boulevard leading up to the peak of the storm surge.
This is crazy. It's hard to see, but there's a river. It looks like a river that was coming out before. I can show you a video. It's hard to see, but there's like, it's getting so, it has so much of a current that it's pulling me towards it. And it's slapping all these waves into the front of the truck and moving the truck closer to it with the wind going the opposite way. It's nuts, bro.
Robert drives an older truck where the driver's side window wouldn't roll down. Somehow, though, on the evening of Helene's record-breaking storm surge, his window rolled down and he was able to escape. He explained the scene as being a giant whirlpool that covered Gulf Boulevard and the parking lot. During this time, his biggest fear was being carried out into the Gulf through a current, so his instinct told him to grab onto things so that he didn't get carried out into the ocean. Charlene explains more.
So the story is, there was a gentleman that was driving down Gulf Boulevard. He had just finished doing some work at some properties that he takes care of for his clients. And he thought he could get back off the island. And what happened was the storm surge came and lifted his truck up and started carrying his truck. And it started to turn on him, and he was able to climb out the passenger side window. And when he did, the storm surge carried him to the church here, to one of our walkways, and he was hanging on to the roof. But when he was floating toward our courtyard, we have this courtyard here called the Garden of the Good Shepherd. And it's a very peaceful place. And we have benches where you can sit. And there's a marble statue of Jesus with the lamb over his shoulders that he's carrying. And that is what this gentleman saw when he was floating in water way above his head. And he said it was like a beacon of light, that was literally the only thing that he could see. And he kept his eyes on it and kept trying to get over there, but the currents were so strong, it kept moving him away. But he was able to grab hold of our roof and soffit and hang on until he couldn't hang on anymore. And then the surge drifted him to the back of our building where we have a canal, more water, and he was floating. He grabbed hold of a fence and was holding on to that, and something broke off in the water. He was able to use it somehow to hoist it up between the tie lines on this 50-foot yacht. Miraculously, after many, many struggles, he was able to get aboard this yacht. And he tried unsuccessfully 4 times to open the doors of this boat to see if there was anybody inside, and he couldn't open it. Miraculously, the door opened on its own. There was nobody in there. He was able to get inside and go down into the hull and sleep, and he was safe, and he was cold and shivering. And later, Friday morning around 5 a.m., a neighbor that lives here by the church launched his boat off-site, came back to check on his property, and saw this gentleman sitting on top of his boat, and they rescued him. And when he climbed into their boat, he said, "Jesus saved me." And both of those men are changed for life.
The audio's not great, the video quality isn't the best, but here are the clips that I have of Robert talking about his story.
Over here, shining a Q-beam, and I kept trying to, I spanned across there. I was a little thing there. I hope I didn't knock him down. I don't think I did, but I get over there to try to flag him, and I pulled myself in. And then after that, it was just whether I was going to be able to get in the boat or not. I tried to get in, so I laid on the deck, holding onto the cleat for probably a half hour. This is all I could see. This is all I could see when I was over at the other house with the red light flashing. That's all I can see is all the disciples and everybody.
When I was here, there was an entire crew that was hard at work in cleaning up the place. Charlene continued to show me the destruction to not only the church property, but also to the neighborhood surrounding the church.
So this is our thrift store, and we are open 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, serving our community. We give out clothing vouchers to anyone who needs it. We have a lot of fishermen that come in and need clothes or shoes or sheets when they go out on the boat. And so we give them whatever they need, backpacks, anything. Of course, we always give them food bags, toiletry items, toothbrush, toothpaste, and we just serve our community here through our thrift store. But these are the front doors that we're standing in, and this side is all household, housewares, and over here where they're cleaning out was our boutique side where we had all of our clothes, purses, shoes, men's and women's items. And these windows you can see here busted out from the storm surge. Blew a hole in the wall over there. And we had about 4 to 5 feet of water in here. It was like a swimming pool. This is our dressing room. And back here is the workroom for the boutique side. This is our calendar where the volunteers sign up. But we have here, God be with us. And we believe that he truly was with us in this storm, as he promises to be with us in any storm. But you can see the water line here, how high it was. It was higher in here, actually. So we're standing in the back of our thrift store. This is our grassy lot here between our church and Candy Kitchen. And over here you can see the area where there was a structure. And I want to show you where Helene moved her. Over here to the right was a concrete wall that we actually just had redone last year, completely demolished. And you're standing here where our big shed was, our big storage shed. We put extra things in there, things that we were donating, seasonal items. There's just a storage shed for, whatever. But over here, this is where the storage shed is. The white building is our storage shed. So that storm surge picked it up and put it in the water. This mobile mini unit came from across the street over here on Gulf Boulevard. So it traveled all the way here. Here's a car in the water that nosedived. There's no one in it. It was a local resident, and that was his car that was here in this parking lot. But there it sits in the water. And there's so much debris here. One of the things that we're looking for is our thrift store. We had out front a really big blue donation bin, and you could make donations 24/7, and people did all the time. It was always full, and we just got so excited because without donations, we don't have a thrift store. But the storm surge carried it away, and we literally have no idea where it is. This water out here is really not that deep, but we are looking for the big blue bin. So if anybody sees it, bring it back. You guys, okay, oh my gosh, guess what just happened? This is another one of those goodness of Gods. This gentleman, I've never met you. What's your name?
My name's Mike.
Mike, he just walked up and said, are you with the church? And we're like, yes, why? And look what he has in the back of his truck. Our big blue bin for the thrift store. We've been looking for it. We had no idea where it would be. And it floated 3 blocks up. Was it in your yard?
It took a right. Pulled into our yard.
Okay, so it went north on Gulf Boulevard, hooked a right at Sweet Brunette, and ended up in your neighborhood in your front yard. Yeah. How did you know it was ours? Have you donated here?
Donated. So we understood.
You know how important it is. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go look at it. Come on. This is so exciting. I'm so happy. Look, and it matches your truck.
Same blue color.
Yes. So this is our thrift store bin. This is what we call the big blue bin. We keep that over there right outside the door, and people can donate 24/7 in it, and it's like in perfect shape. Oh, it took a ride. Thank you for bringing her back home. Oh my goodness. This is like the Lord is restoring piece by piece, honestly. I'm so happy.
Next, we took a walk down Gulf Boulevard to see some more destruction, while Charlene told me about the businesses that we were passing.
The next place I'm going to take you is Candy Kitchen. This place is an iconic place here on Madeira Beach. When you think of Madeira Beach, you think Candy Kitchen. So many people have been here through the years. It's been here since 1950, and Matt is the newest owner of it and just does such a great job. There is often, always a line going past here for people waiting to get in to get their ice cream. They do homemade fudge, the best ice cream, milkshakes. They have iconic candy. And it's very sad to look here at these ice cream containers because we know the delicious stuff that was in there. But he gutted his place because he also had storm surge. It ripped the door off the hinges. And this is what was left behind, the sweet teddy bear. And I love especially that he says, we love Madeira, we will come back. I love that we're gonna reopen. Yeah, I told him yesterday, Madeira Beach wouldn't be the same without Candy Kitchen.
A lot of places are announcing that they're not gonna be reopening, yeah.
Yeah, Matt says he is, and so we believe it, but windows were blown out. This building here, the storm surge inverted the whole front wall, doors and everything. And we can walk on down here. Further up, just a couple one block up from us, is Sweet Brunette. These are friends of ours from our church that lived here that lost everything. But at Church by the Sea, we love Sweet Brunette, and we often walk up here to eat their chicken and biscuits, or chicken and waffles rather. So delicious. And hi guys. And they also suffered catastrophic loss. Gulf Boulevard was just covered with sand, and different areas along the beach, you can see the mounds piled high. But to show you the force of the storm surge, also look down here where it created, a huge hole. These buildings are condemned. They're off their foundation. So those are going to have to be torn down, I'm sure. Somebody's sewing machine. But these cars here, somebody didn't get a new door put in yet. But this car went through the storm. This one's twisted up between the palm trees. You know? It's just, you can't believe all the destruction. These are our friends, you know? I just heard yesterday on the news that Helene is the second worst storm in U.S. history to hit the mainland in 50 years. Number one is Katrina, so that helps put it in perspective. We've never seen anything like this here. I'm a native Floridian. I've been through hurricanes. We've never been through anything like this, and we've never had a storm surge like what happened. This is all from the storm surge. It wasn't even a lot of rain, and those sustained winds weren't that terrible either. It was just the storm surge that did all of this damage. But Sweet Brunette is an iconic restaurant here also that the locals love to come and eat and drink coffee. They provide our Sunday morning coffee. We serve coffee every Sunday morning at Church by the Sea, and it's compliments of Sweet Brunette. So these are our friends.
So unfortunate.
It really, really is.
We're nearing the end of this video, but what's really crazy is that I only showed you a handful of communities that were affected by Hurricane Helene, which caused damage to essentially the entire Gulf Coast of Florida, along with places inland that many of you have heard about, with major flooding in Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. What's even more unfortunate is that another blow to this area could be coming. Hurricane Milton is expected to be a Category 3 hurricane, and at the time of me editing this video, it's predicted that the eye of Hurricane Milton will have a strong probability of hitting the Tampa Bay, Bradenton, and Sarasota area on Tuesday night, which is October 8th, 2024, and with it will possibly come a storm surge that will equal Helene's record-breaking surge, or it might be an even greater surge. Well, hey, do me a favor, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as doing those things helps these videos get seen by more people, as the YouTube algorithm will spread it around even more. In the meantime, let's hope that this next blow with Hurricane Milton isn't as bad as the weather forecasters are predicting it to be.